And you've just heard Funk for Introverts, the new single from Megan Black. And I'm delighted to be joined by Megan now. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm really well. I'm really well. What can you tell us about Funk for Introverts?
This song is very out of my comfort zone. It feels very different to something I would normally make, but it was a lot of fun to make it. It's basically me just accepting that I don't know everything. I feel like I've written a lot of music that, talks about things that I think are very important. But I think as I've matured in my own opinions a little bit, I realized that I can't make people happy either way. So this song is kind of that. It's kind of like, I don't know, I was talking to someone earlier about it and it kind of feels like um my villain era kind of song. I like it.
That's a really interesting way of putting it. I'm going to have to listen to it again to find out where the villainy is in there. But what's interesting to me musically is, although you say it's maybe a bit of a departure, it still sounds like you.
Yeah.
The way I think upon it is a lot of your influences were kind of maybe 70s influence rock stuff. And this to me is 70s influence funk. It's all
Yeah.
kind of funkadelic, the
Yeah.
hair and the bass and all of those things. Is
Yeah.
that kind of where it comes from?
I think so, yeah. I worked on this song and I wrote it at my friend Scott Bathgate's house, and he's like an amazing local producer. Um, and he's really good at kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone a lot. I think whenever I'm doing something that feels quite safe, he's like, why don't we try it this way and see what happens? So it's been really fun working with him, but I think he was really good at kind of capturing the things that make my music feel like it's mine without it just feeling the same as stuff I've done before. So I'm glad it still sounds 70s-esque. That's good.
But it definitely does sound like that kind of, is it still Megan Black sounding 70s influence? Was there a particular influence for this track?
Uh, I think at the time I'd kind of been going through a bit of a phase. One of my sort of favorite artists that makes very different music to me is Little Sims.
Mhm.
I just think she's amazing. And I was listening to a lot of her music and I was just kind of like, I just want to be as cool as Little Sims. And I think that inspired the sort of kind of rap spoken word, almost like she has a lot of stuff where she's talking about quite serious things, but she does it in a way that to me feel kind of a little bit kind of tongue in cheek, a little bit sarcastic as well, or like she's sort of using like a play on words. So I kind of just wanted to combine all of those things. Yeah, I'd say she was a massive inspiration as well as the kind of more 70s nostalgic sound as well.
And I was checking the last time we had you on the show was back in September 2021, and you've done so much since then. Can you give us even some of your highlights? You've had albums out, you've been touring, there's been a lot happening, and I think you've been touring over abroad as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been really fun. I don't know how any of it's happened to be honest, but I'm just enjoying it. Yeah, so since last time we spoke, I released an EP. Last year, the year before, I was nominated for some really cool awards and wrote a couple of film soundtracks, which were very fun. And yeah, I finished off the end of 2023 going over to California and playing some shows, which was super cool. So it's been fun. I don't know how it's been 3 years, but well, almost 3 years, but it's
I,
been
I I saw that when you were playing California. I went, yeah, that's the city for Megan to be playing in, definitely.
yeah.
Was it as cool as you thought it was going to be? Was it? Did it have the kind of feel that you thought it was going to be?
It really was as cool as I thought it was going to be. I went over there and I was a bag of nerves. I don't know if you ever get this where like you're anxious, but it just comes out. Like I just was horrible to be around. Like my guitarist must have been like, "Oh my God, be quiet." But like I feel like I'd built up so much in my head of like this has to be the perfect thing. And then I went over and it just really felt like it was. Obviously not perfect. I don't think anywhere in the world's perfect at all. Um, I think just going to San Francisco and like being in Malibu and stuff like that, like I just was like, I want to live here. This is cool. Yeah, it was fun.
Because these are great kind of musical cities as well.
Yeah,
I'm talking of playing live. You played King Tut's just recently, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I played King Tut's just under a week ago.
So how
Yeah.
was that?
It was really fun. Yeah, I played that show with a band that I'm working with as well. I work with a bunch of musicians who play my stuff live, and yeah, it was super fun. I always like playing at King Tut's. Like I think the actual sound and like the sound engineers that they have in are always, in my experience anyway, are always super good to work with. They just know what they're doing. So it's good fun. It was great.
And in talking about live dates, you've got a few more coming up in April and May. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, I'm also playing a few festivals this summer as well, which should be cool. And I've got a couple of gigs that I've not announced yet, but
Okay.
um, you might know about them if I've sent you the press
Okay.
release, but they will be announced soon on my socials.
Watch this space. If you give me the nod when we can
Yeah.
announce them, then we'll let people definitely let people know about them. And I was wondering, you talked about you've been touring, and I'm guessing sharing stages with other bands at festivals and stuff like that. Who is around making music at the moment that you're really enjoying?
There's a lot of people, honestly. I think Eve is definitely one. I played a show recently with Eve, and she's just like she's like a magical being. I don't under. She's great. We played a kind of women in music fundraiser last month, which was great, and it was great to hear her play live. Lowry's are another band that I'm really into. Scott, who produced Funk for Introverts, also plays with Lowry's, so I get to hear a lot of their stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, because
Uh,
they've got a new single out just now as well, which is fantastic.
yeah, they're just. I feel like they just understand exactly why they want to do what they're doing. It really comes across, and it's just cool as well. I feel like they've got this whole post-apocalyptic kind of world that they've created with music, and you really do feel like you're in that kind of realm. It's very cool. Um, who else? There's so many people, honestly. I can't really even begin. Quiet Houses, I saw
Um,
them recently too. They were really great. Yeah, there's too many, but there's a great music scene going on, a lot of cool things.
no, absolutely. And Eve's interesting as well because there's a kind of 70s feel to some of the things she does also, I think. Certainly, mixing it with hip hop and all sorts of different things, a bit like yourself, crossing all different kind of genres, you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounded very much like Eve when you listen to it, you kind of know.
Yeah, totally. I think she's very good at making sure she's like her as an artist is the main thing that people are concerned about. I find it very inspiring. It's like she can kind of go off and do what she wants to do, but you're always like invested in her story and kind of what she wants to say. Her and I might have something exciting. I
Oh,
will let you know.
can't keep this,
I
Megan.
can't
Oh,
confirm anything, but yeah,
well, that sounds amazing. I'll definitely let us know if that comes on.
yeah.
I'd say you've done so much since we last spoke. Um, is there anything you could maybe give advice to people who are just starting out, or are there, apart from being in San Francisco and California, other kind of highlights that you've had?
I think the biggest highlights for me, in all honesty, are actually getting feedback from people that listen to my music. I think, and I'm still very guilty for this, but I think it can be so tempting to kind of buy into this whole, you've got to make it in the industry and kind of shake hands with all the right people. And whilst I think that is true, I do also think that you'll work with people who are in line with your values anyway, you know. I spent so much time like being like, oh, I wonder if this person likes me and this person. And in reality, my highlights have been, you know, one of my biggest highlights was a woman DM'd me on Instagram who was listening to my music, and she said, I was on a night out and I bumped into a bunch of other women in the smoking area, a nightclub, and we all started singing Freedom Belongs to Him together. And
Wow.
that to me was like, that's why I'm making this kind of music. You know, that's the sort of thing I actually want. Like otherwise I could just write songs in my bedroom and do a different job and probably make a lot more money on average, you know. So it's more like if I'm putting music out into the world, why am I doing it? Do you know?
Yeah.
That's probably advice that I still need to learn to take myself, but I'd say definitely for artists starting out, it helps you narrow your focus a lot quicker on like what do I actually want to do with music rather than what does this person and this, like, it's great to take advice from people and there's always going to be someone that knows more than you, but equally I believe there's a fan base for everything. Whatever you put out, someone's going to resonate with it. So I think it's like just focus on kind of getting it to those people. Yeah.
And I mean, what's it like then when you find out that people know your songs, that they know the words, and I'm guessing have sang back to you when you played live as well?
Yeah, it's weird. I get goosebumps. I'm always like, I find it mad. I find it crazy that people, because I think especially now there's so much content everywhere. You know, you're scrolling your phone and you're consuming like,
Yeah.
500 little clips of different songs. And it's like for someone to not only listen to your music, but also listen to it that much that they know the words and the words resonate with them and they show up to shows, and it's just crazy. I think it's so cool to see that, and I think that's definitely something for me as an artist that I want to focus more on is like actually just connecting with people that like my music and trying to reach more people that actually like it and learn all the words and probably know them better than I do. So yeah, it's a cool feeling.
Because that's, as music fans, that's what we do. And I think you must have loved the feedback you got from the album coming out.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, it felt like a proper album. It was like two sides and track listed, and you listen to it as a whole. Yes, you could listen to different songs, but it really did feel that way. And it took me back to when I was younger and bought albums and really kind of spent time listening to them, not just once and forgetting about it, but you listen to them,
Yeah.
spend time with it. And I think that's kind of what your music rewards, that listening time and time again.
Thank you. That's what I want. That's ideally what, even releasing all these singles and trying out, different things with my sound. Ideally, that's the sort of what I'm looking to, is to write songs and to write like a body of work that feels like it like accompanies people a
Yeah.
bit. I feel like when you actually have as you say, it's like you kind of go on like this sort of experience with an album where you listen to the full thing and then you go back to it. Like I want to write songs that people, as I say, like are going through their villain era or they're maybe,
Yeah.
have had their first heartbreak and they go back and listen to, like I think that's a big aspect of music and connecting with people, is like you want these finished bodies of work to represent your own experience, but also hopefully someone else can, you know, use that to kind of cope with just the world.
Well,
um,
absolutely right. And I
yeah.
think that's when you get people knowing your lyrics and singing your songs, is when you make that connection and people can, empathize with what you've written and what you're singing and go, yeah, that's either happened to me or I feel that way. Talking of albums, so this is a single. Is it a precursor to there going to be another album, or is it too early to say?
Um, there will be
Another
another
one you're
album.
going to go, I can't tell you.
There will be another. I think I'm realizing like as much as nowadays I do have to do the whole TikTok kind of visuals and catching people's attention and all of this kind of stuff. My ideal thing is to write albums, release them, and then play loads of shows.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my dream is just to travel with music, and that's a way for me to do that that feels very authentic. So yeah, there's no point in lying. There will be another album, and it's kind of more just piecing all that together that's happening.
Well, fantastic. I cannot wait to hear it when it comes out.
Thank you.
And it's great to know that you're kind of living your dream at the moment. You're making music and you're traveling all around the place and playing these live shows. Long may it continue. Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'll keep you posted with things as well.
Absolutely. And this is Megan Black and Just for Fun.